Hey, good afternoon to you guys. How the heck is everybody? It's good to see you again. Welcome back. And you know, if you're like me, you're 6'4" and named Bill. So how are you guys? I am doing just wonderful. We had a great show last night. Kyle was in attendance. Aurora Williams was our guest. It was just tons of fun on a bun. And if you're coming in from Facebook and you don't regularly follow me on Facebook, you don't keep up with the announcements, I understand. You might have noticed that there was no show on Facebook last night. We tried a new service, a new system called StreamYard. Well, I don't know how new StreamYard is or isn't, but it is a web-based streaming service, a web-based host. And as such, it has both paid and free versions. I can't afford the yearly subscription. So we were using the free version. So what does that have to do with streaming on Facebook? It only allows you to stream to one service at a time. I elected to stream to YouTube. So if you want to watch what was going on, if you want to see what was happening, you can go over to YouTube if you're on Facebook. If you're watching me on YouTube, don't watch last night's again right now. Watch this one. But you can watch the whole recording on YouTube. That's the thing. People often say to me, "Oh man, I missed your live stream. Man, damn it, I missed the live stream." I leave them up on YouTube. You can come and watch them. You can comment in them underneath. No problem. All right, why? YouTube is now bitching about the quality of the video. Not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Sorry, guys. Sorry if you're experiencing buffering. I'm doing my best. Which is to say, that's all that YouTube will let me do. So, yeah, I'm in two places at once right now. Again. Hello, Ricky. Passerby says, not named Bill and not 6'4". Well, that's okay, too. That is okay also. Now, tomorrow I'll be in two places. We'll be doing the 12:30 live stream, midday, open mic Friday. It'll be lots of fun. Tomorrow evening, I will be on Yang and Zhao's podcast, his little live stream thing. Let me just get that for you here real quick. You can check out his channel. We're going to talk about campaign building, which is something I greatly enjoy. So you can go over and check out his channel. In fact, you should check out his channel. Yang has had many, many brilliant creators on his channel. Lots of cool stuff over there to see and to watch and to listen to. So I do recommend his channel. And he shared the link. I want to say he shared the link in the Discord. Let me pull that up. Anybody that gets to it faster, you can go ahead. Here we go. Copy link, and I'll just put that in here. So bookmark it. Just put that in, and that will be at 9 Eastern tomorrow night. Yang and I will be on, because that's 6 in the evening for him, because he's got a normal actual day job that takes him to an actual place of business and work, unlike me. You know, I'm on eternity leave. So that's what'll be happening tomorrow night. Now, next week, next Tuesday, if you're one of the people, and I know there's not a lot of you, but I know some of you might be watching. But if you're one of the people who signed up for the example first edition AD&D game, wherein you'll come and you'll sit down and you'll play, and we'll show people in action the concepts that we've learned, the things that we have taught in the How to Play First Edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons series. And it's still an instructional thing. There'll be pauses where I talk to you guys and take your questions and whatnot and play some D&D. If you're on that, if that's something you've done, if that's something you're doing, send me a PM on the Discord, please, at some point between now and Monday. Because Tuesday, we're going live with that. All right? Tuesday, we will have our little group of 3 or 4 players, and we'll be playing, for the rest of you guys, some first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. You'll be watching the things that I've talked about for months happen in real time. And then you can ask questions, you can talk to me, I can ping questions off the players and whatnot. And it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have some fun with that. So be ready. Be ready for that. But how are you guys doing today? How is everyone? I am hunky-dory. I really wish YouTube would stop it with this message that says it's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I don't know what's going on. All right. So I don't know what's going on with that. Are you guys experiencing slowdowns? Is this like janky for you guys or something? And speaking of jank, I want to apologize if you're hearing like this constant like mechanical noise in the background. It's not my fan. I left my fan on last night and the battery's dead. I got to recharge it. My 3D printer over there is fixing to fail a print. It's fixing to go down in flames. Not actual flames. I do have a thermocoupler on it, but I am printing up some armor for a suit of armor for my daughter for her Halloween costume. And yon printer is printing one of the pieces. Obviously, it prints on a print bed, not much bigger than a sheet of paper. And you think about how big a suit of armor's got to be. So I have to print this in segments. And I'm printing a segment right now, and I kicked it off last night. And without launching into the specifics of 3D printing and boring the hell out of you guys, it's going to run out of filament. It's going to run out of the stuff that feeds into the printer and makes print happen soon, very soon. Before it's finished, it's going to be a disaster. So, yeah, I got that happening. Not happy about that. Hello, Rich Denver. Good to see you, my friend. Rich from our friends over there at Gods of Greyhawk. We love them. We love their music. You should check them out. That's bardsofgreyhawk.herenow.com. There's a link you can check. They make absolutely magnificent music. And that dovetails nicely because speaking of Greyhawk, we're going to talk about some Greyhawk gods today. And I need to... let's get into that Greyhawk set. No, Adobe, god damn it. I don't sign in to Adobe to use your freaking reader. I don't even know if that is that up on the screen. That's not up on the screen yet. Okay. There we go. Acrobat. Acrobat is now up on the screen. So let me see now. 60. There we go. We've talked a lot about Greyhawk deities. Let's look at some more. Let's look at some more Greyhawk deities, shall we? Now, this next one is weird. Like, really, really weird. Like, capital W weird to me. This is Wastrey. Is it Wastrey or Wastrey? The Hopping Prophet. He's a lawful neutral demigod with evil tendencies. The god of bigotry, self-deception, and amphibians. I can't help but think that maybe there was something Gary was going after here with Wastrey, but I don't, we'll never know. So Wastrey, the Hopping Prophet. Wastrey, the Hopping Prophet, hammer of demi-humans, dwells on the prime material plane, now in the regions of the vast swamp. He it is who preaches the ultimate superiority of humankind. While humanoids can serve, demi-humans are fit only to be slain, especially dwarves, gnomes, and halflings. These, with his gray-clad servants, he hunts with his toad packs and exterminates whenever possible. Wastrey has somehow mutated to become both less and more than human. He is unmistakable to his batrachian features and odd gait. Yet he can move quickly enough and hop for considerable distance with ease and accuracy. He wears no armor, relying on his speed and evasive agility. Wastrey dresses in parti-colored clothing of gray and dull yellow. Wastrey is renowned for his great glade guisarm, a polearm with which he harries his prey, especially loving to catch small demi-humans on its long end spike. In addition to his normal attacks and spells, Wastrey can utter a confusing croak or cast an enchantment that causes huge knobby warts to cover his victim. Finally, Wastrey can cast a dampness spell over an area of 1 square mile. The Dwemer reduces the effective range of archery, almost said artillery, although I guess that is. Limits visibility to 60 yards, extinguishes normal fires, and reduces in effect even magical fires. Wastrey can speak with any amphibian, commanding them as he wishes. He is able to summon any or all of the following creatures: bullywugs up to 40, giant toads up to 20, poisonous toads up to 8, and ice toads up to 4. These creatures are always the largest of their kind and fearsome in combat. Under usual circumstances, Wastrey is always accompanied by his immaculate image: a high priest/master, 3 greater servants, high priests of various level, and a pair of huge toads. At the sacred polyestery, the Hopping Prophet has a score of hopefuls, those attempting to become his clerics. There are also dozens of lesser servants, acolytes, adepts, priests, and curates. Hopefuls are dun-clad. Lesser servants are robed in gray. All help to breed and maintain superior toads. It is rumored that some of these monsters appear remarkably human, just as some of Wastrey's followers appear toad-like. All of these clerics can speak with amphibians as well. Worship of Wastrey is not common, although it has supposedly spread to the Hool marshes and possibly elsewhere. Ceremonies honoring Wastrey involve sacrifices, strange musical instruments, and croaking chants. All places of worship are dim, dark, and chilly. The credo of human superiority and exaction of rights and duties are always stressed. What a weirdo. What an absolute weirdo. But, I could potentially see servants of Wastrey guarding the Tomb of Horrors. Perhaps even making a Scissorak a prominent figure in their belief system. Greetings, Adam Black. You're quite welcome, Rich Denver. Hello, Damien. Damien. So Wastery is a strange being, and I wonder what the lineage of Wastery is in terms of Gary's creation. I mean, it seems to me, this is just my observation, but it seems to me it could be a dig at the players who insist on playing gnomes, dwarves, and halflings. And the affinity for polearms, doesn't that put you in the mind that Gary was stepping a little bit towards self-parody there? It does for me. So Wastery, the frog god, or maybe even a dig at Dave Arneson's Blackmoor, the Temple of the Frog, could be. So then let's talk about Zanye. Lesser goddess, neutral, just across the board neutral. Mental and physical mastery of mind over matter, twilight, shadows, and stealth. Zanye is one of the rare deities of the Baklunish who has attained a measure of service across the Flannis. The goddess is sometimes known as the perfect mistress by those who serve her through the pursuit of martial arts. She is the epitome of grace, speed, and perfection with respect to such discipline. Zanye always appears in human form, but either sex and of any age. In any guise, she is slender and graceful, but only in her true form is she recognizable as the Lady of Perfection. Zanye is usually dressed in cloth of dove gray, dusty rose, or golden orange, regardless of her guise. While the deity has been known to use all weapons associated with monks, she prefers to wield a pair of magical falchions. These matched blades are no larger than table knives until Zanye wishes them to grow. Then they spring to full-sized falchions, each about 3 feet long. Zanye employs one in each hand. The magical properties of these weapons change during combat, so that her right side is more powerful in the beginning, but the balance gradually shifts to her left side. Zanye can also attack as the supreme mistress of petals with her open hands. In addition to her other abilities, Zanye is a powerful psionic, just in case, this wasn't tough enough for you. Non-magical hostile environments do not harm Zanye. This includes airlessness, cold, heat, etc. She can travel to any of the inner planes and on the astral plane as well, but to go to the outer planes, she must use her psionic power. Those individuals who seek mastery of their mind and body, as well as those who favor twilight, are prone to serve Zanye. Thus, her followers include monks, thieves, and less savory sorts, as well as young lovers and those of cautious nature. Interesting, young lovers. Clerics of the goddess wear cloaks of gray over sunset-hued robes. Places of worship of Zanye are typically in secluded settings. Those found in urban centers will be large, but constructed so as to be unnoticeable as a monastery, temple, or whatever. Services include dance-like exercises, meditation, reading, chanting, and prayer. The light is always shadowy and dim, and breezes tinkle chimes and bells so as to provide background music. So we have an actual goddess of martial arts in Greyhawk. Oh. Ricky says, it seems odd, the whole thing, but Gary preferred human characters and hated magic users. Well, yeah, but then, Mordenkainen, Bigby, Rigby. He might have hated players who played them, or he might have hated having people play them at his table, but he seemed to enjoy running them himself. So let's take a look. Let's see. Do we get any Do we get any fun stats? Voltus, there we go. So Wastery. Let's look at Wastery stats and see how that fits into the descriptive. Armor class -3. Move 18 inches. Or hop 3 inches. 129 hit points. Number of attacks 2. Damage per attack by weapon type +2. Or 2 to 12, 2 to 12 open hand. Special attacks, of course, let's see below. Special defenses +1 or better magical weapon to hit. Magic resistance is 50. Size is medium. Alignment is lawful, neutral, evil. Worshipper's alignment, lawful, neutral, or lawful evil. His symbol is a gray toad. His plane is a prime material. He is a 15th level cleric or druid. No fighter levels. Not magic user nor illusionist. 7th level assassin, 8th level monk. No psionic abilities. Strength 18, intelligence 10. That's pretty low for a demigod. Wisdom 20, dexterity 22, constitution 19, charisma 2, 20 to amphibians. Wastery's famous weapon is a glaive Gizarm +4. It causes 2 to 8, +4, +2 points of damage against small or man-sized targets, and 2 to 12, +4, +2 against large targets. Wastery's cloak will confuse, as a confusion spell, all creatures within 40 feet who hear the sound unless a save versus spell is made. Wastery's warts enchantment will cover the victim with huge knobby warts unless a save versus spell is made. The warts make it difficult to grasp any weapon, 50% chance per round to drop the weapon, and the victim's charisma drops to 3. The affected individual must also save versus poison or fall into a dejected state similar to paralysis for 2 to 12 rounds. The dampness created by Wastery reduces the effects of magical fires by 50% and lasts 5 to 60 rounds. Each of his spell-like powers, Croak, Warts, Dampness, can be used once per day. When Wastery summons creatures, the following numbers appear. 10 to 40 bullywugs, or 5 to 20 giant toads, or 2 to 8 poisonous toads, or 1 to 4 ice toads. He can summon any or all of these groups, one per turn, once per week. The creatures will appear 1 round after being summoned. Each will have +1 hit probability and cause an additional 1 point of damage. The huge toads, which usually accompany Wastery, are AC 5, 5 hit dice, 40 hit points, damage 4 to 16. Clerics of Wastery above 4th level are able to use a jump spell per the magic user spell once per day. Use is at level equal to equivalent of that magic user of the same level. That of a magic user at the same level, sorry. All of these clerics can speak with amphibians as well. And I think the rest is all about Xanier. So we'll talk about Xanier. And I think we may even have time to go over Zaygig. Pretty much the end of the described Greyhawk Pantheon. Mostly. So Xanier, armor class -4. Move 34 inches. She's going anywhere she wants. Number of hit points 172. Number of attacks 2. Damage per attack by weapon type +6. See below for special attacks and defenses. Magic resistance 50% plus monk's special resistances. She's medium sized, neutral in alignment. Worshipper's alignment neutral, any neutral. So you can have lawful neutral, neutral good, chaotic neutral, neutral evil. Symbol black lotus bloom. Plane concordant opposition. Cleric druid no, fighter no, illusionist no, thief assassin 14th level thief acrobat 4th level thief. Monk bard 18th level monk, psionic ability 1 at all attack and defense modes. Strength 18 double aught, intelligence 19, wisdom 19, dexterity 22, constitution 18, charisma 20. Xanier can attack once per round with each of her magical falchions. On the initial round, the right sword is a +6 weapon, but the left butt +1. This imbalance becomes +5 and +2 on the next round, then +4 and +3, then +3 and +4, etc. Damage inflicted is weapon damage plus strength bonus plus the obverse of the 2 hit bonus for the sword. +1 damage if +6 to hit, +2 if +4 to hit. Man, I guess be glad that you don't really have gods in combat very often, right? Of course, Zaygig can attack as a monk, the supreme mistress of petals, with 5 open hand attacks causing 6 to 36 points of damage and all other effects typical of such an attack. Zaygig has 344 psionic points, plus the ability to instantly restore 6 to 36 lost points once per day. Her psionic disciplines are body equilibrium, energy control, cell adjustment, mass domination, molecular agitation, molecular manipulation, object reading, precognition, probability travel, suspend animation, telepathic projection, aura alteration. And all disciplines are practiced at the 16th level of mastery. So, cell adjustment basically means she has the ability to heal herself at will as long as she has psionic points. And she's going to have psionic points for a long time. So if a high-level party ever got it in their coconut-like heads to go after Zaygig, well, they'd be better off just throwing themselves off cliffs. Clerics of the goddess gain monk abilities as follows. First through 3rd level. If the cleric is unarmored and otherwise has no dexterity bonus, their effective armor class is 10, just like anybody else's would be. But they can move up to 13 inches, assumes only normal garments, and no considerable load carried. Open hand damage 1 to 2, damage only, no stunning or other special effects, and no special monk abilities. And then it proceeds on from there. So by the time you've got, say, a mid-range level monk of, say, 7th or 9th level, their unarmored armor class is 8. They can move up to 15 inches in a round, strike for 1 to 4 points of damage with their open hand, and have monk special abilities A and B. And it just goes on from there. So clerics of Zaygig could be pretty awesome. Big B's adamantine backhand. Yes. I think Zaygig would be possessed of that. You're going to run out of filament there, printer. I'm just watching in horror as this print gets ready to fail. You know what? We have the time. That didn't take nearly as long as that. Let's talk about Zaygig. Or Zaygig. So we're going to go back up. Let's see. Let's hop back up to 70. That puts us right back in the middle of the prime god space. And you guys let me know if there's more aspects of Greyhawk that you'd like to discuss. We can do that. Scroll down a little too far. Zaygig, demigod, chaotic neutral. Now, Zaygig is Gary. Basically, Gary stewed himself into a lot of places in the World of Greyhawk setting. Mordenkainen, Big B, Rigby, and a host of others. But Zaygig is pretty much his ultimate pan to himself in the game. He's a chaotic neutral demigod. Humor, occult studies, unpredictability, eccentricity. Zaygig, the mad archmage and punster, is the sole known servant of Bakub, for the latter recognizes no others except on special occasions. Zaygig is mad only in that none but his master seem to be able to fathom his reasoning and sense of humor. Few, if any, hold him as their deity. Zaygig will appear in nearly any guise when upon the prime material plane. His actual appearance is said to be rather unremarkable in a wizardly sort of way. Likewise, his garb is varied to suit the situation, dark blue and silver being the colors often noted. Being able to employ weapons and devices common to both fighters and magic users, Zaygig is likely to appear with a Vorpal blade in one hand and a wand of wonder in the other. Oh, God. Harmful effects of items employed by this being tend to affect him. One more time. Harmful effects of items employed by this being tend to affect not him, but his opponents instead. Thus, if Zaygig donned a ring of weakness, all those around him might well be affected while Zaygig is untouched. He has been known to strike with a padded club or cast haste spell upon an opponent, however. Somehow, despite his seeming madness, Zaygig survives, carries out his assignments, and moves on. Zaygig can likewise travel all planes and is the bane of many. He serves Baka most carefully, but apparently out of his own will and a desire to retain enlightened neutrality and uncertain humor everywhere. It is said that anyone mad enough to seek to serve Zaygig must confront the demigod personally and periodically thereafter and be subject to judgment. And is that... Did I skip past that? No, I did not. So let's talk about Zaygig's stats. And in case you're wondering, yes, absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, Castle Greyhawk was built by Zaygig before his apotheosis. So let's zoom in a little bit and talk about Zaygig's stats. This is one thing where I can say that I think the NPC in question, the being in question, Zaygig, and yes, Zaygig is a scrambling up of Gygax. Gary being kind of notorious for doing that. So Zaygig, armor class -2, move 18 inches, hit points 121, number of attacks 2, damage per attack by weapon type +6, strength bonus. Special attacks and defenses, special attacks see below, special defenses +2 or better weapon to hit. Magic resistance is 70%, medium. Alignment, chaotic neutral, good. Worshipper's alignment, any, none known. I did have one player who played, hello Joshua, who played a half-orc cleric of Zaygig, and they were constantly going into Castle Greyhawk. Symbol, Rune of Madness, Insanity. Plane, Prime Material, Concordant Opposition. Cleric or Fighter, or Cleric or Druid, nil. 8th level Fighter, 18th level Magic User, 10th level Illusionist. He is neither a Thief nor Assassin, Monk nor Bard. All attack and defense modes for psionic abilities. Strength 18 double aught, Intelligence 23, Wisdom 17, Dexterity 22, Constitution 19, Charisma 18. Zaygig has the attributes and abilities normal to a demigod. He can only be hit by +2 or better weapons. And that's it. That's all we've got for Zaygig. There's no discussion of worshippers, what worshippers might get, what special powers. You get nothing. You get nothing and you'll like it. From which book is this? This is the World of Greyhawk set, Rich. You can get a copy. Hang on a second. Let's bebop over there. Whoops. Help if I could spell. It's Greyhawk, not Greyhall. So you can go here and you can pick this up. Hello, Mick. Good to see you. Mick over on Facebook. I'm trying to find. Let's see. Uh-oh. Did I lose? Did I lose my live stream? Oh no. I can still see you guys. Oh no, there I am. Okay. I have this tiny screen over here, which I really wish I had a bigger screen so I could have my stuff open and you guys wouldn't have to be looking right here while I alt tab around. But I don't. So, but yes, Rich, if you want to go and get yourself a World of Greyhawk set, you can, and you can get that. I believe that is print on demand. Let me see. No, it currently just says watermarked PDF, but you could just as easily send the PDF somewhere like Lulu and have it printed up and have the map printed up for you. Will I cover demi-human deities? There are some that are pertinent to Greyhawk, I think, that can be covered. For example, let me see. Hang on one second, guys. I want to see if I've got something here. Okay, it's not there. Well, you know what I can do here. Oh. Because, first of all, we have plenty of time to do this today. And second of all, she is very pertinent to the World of Greyhawk. And she's a demi-human deity. Now, I have said this about demi-human deities and the World of Greyhawk. It was never Gary's intent to have large numbers of deities specific to each demi-human race. Like Eula. We covered Eula the other day. Eula is a goddess to gnomes and dwarves. She can appear human, but because she's about mining and minerals and stuff, she's a god to, or a goddess to gnomes and dwarves, and to a lesser degree halflings. Same with Blered, god of mining. Favored by dwarves and halflings and so on. And gods can appear as they want. I mean, if Tritherion wants to appear as a halfling, wants to polymorph himself as a halfling and gain a halfling base of worship, he can do that. Saying this god is only a halfling, it's a little too much division for my taste. Those are mostly Roger Moore's creations, not Gary's. So, like, even orcs and other evil beings will have their own worship, but of Hextor or of, in the case of Gnolls, they have a very specific demon prince. You know who is the thing that is worshipped by Gnolls. But outside the context of Greyhawk, yeah, if you guys want me to talk about demi-human deities, I will. I'll probably just do it in one or two videos and not be as extensive as I am with this. But I think there's one who deserves special consideration. Let's see. And we're going to take a look at her real quick here. And that's impossible to read. And by the way, this PDF is the unexpurgated deities and demigods. It is a very nice PDF. It is a very nice scan. So if you had this PDF, if you got this PDF somehow, you could get a nice bound copy of the unexpurgated deities and demigods to have on your bookshelf. You just put it right up on your bookshelf. You could get it done at Lulu or wherever, and then you would have an unexpurgated deities and demigods if you got your hands on this PDF. So yeah, I mean, you see some of them here, like centaurs have their own god. Elves, Corellon, Lantharian, Larethian. I've been saying that wrong for 40 years. Larethian, Corellon, Larethian. Dwarves, Moradine. Aquatic elves with their own. But the one that is specific to Greyhawk, and you know why she's specific to Greyhawk, so we're going to talk about her here. And no, that's not Loth there pouring I don't know, hot tar, a black pudding, something on the poor human victim there on the sacrificial slab. That's Loth, the nasty spider lady looking thing, watching in gleeful awfulness. So let's talk about Loth, and we'll kind of take a backwards approach here and go with their stats first, because Loth, of course, appears in Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. So Loth is the demon queen of spiders. She's a lesser goddess. Armor class -10 or -2. In spider form, she moves at 1 inch on the ground, or 9 inches in her web, or 15 inches when she's not in spider form. Hit points 66. Number of attacks 1 and 1. Damage per attack 4 to 16 and webs by weapon type. Special attacks, poison, special defenses, see below. Magic resistance 70%. Size large in spider form or medium in humanoid. Alignment chaotic evil. Worshipper's alignment chaotic evil. Drow. Symbol is a spider. Plane is the abyss. Cleric or Druid, see below. Fighter as 16 hit die monster. Well, I would say 16th level fighter. But that's up to you as a DM to decide which. Magic user, illusionist, see below. Thief or assassin, no. I would have figured her for some kind of assassin on top of it, but that's just me. Monk or bard, no. Psionic ability, see below. Strength 21, +4 to hit, +9 damage. Intelligence 21, Wisdom 16, Dexterity 21, Constitution 21, Charisma 3 in spider form, or 23 in humanoid form. The Dark Elves worship the demon lords from the abyss. The best known example is the worship of the demon queen Loth. Drow sacrifice both blood of others and riches to her. For particulars, see Advanced Dungeons & Dragons modules D3 Vault of the Drow and Q1 Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Female Drow with wisdoms of 18 can progress as high as 14th level of clerical ability. The demoness Loth is a very powerful and feared demon lord. She usually takes the form of a giant black widow spider when she is on the prime material plane, and sometimes assumes this form on her own plane as well, but she also enjoys appearing as an exquisitely beautiful female dark elf. The statistics for this form are given in parentheses. Little is known about her aims, and only the fact that the Drow worship Loth causes her to assume form on Earth permits compilation of any substantial information whatsoever. Only the fact. Loth enjoys the company of spiders of all sorts. Giant species while in her arachnid shape, those of normal, large, and even huge species while in her humanoid form. She's able to converse with all kinds of spiders, and they understand and obey her unquestioningly. Although the Queen of Spiders has but 66 hit points, her high armor class prevents most damage, and she is able to heal herself at will up to thrice per day. As Loth enjoys roving about in one form or another, she will seldom be encountered in her lair, no matter what the plane, unless worshippers have invoked her to some special shrine or temple. In the form of a giant spider, Loth is able to cast web strands 30 feet long from her abdominal spinnerets, which are equal to a web spell, with the addition of 1 to 4 points of damage per round accruing to web victims due to a poisonous excretion upon her strands. And during the same melee round, she is able to deliver a vicious biting attack for 4 to 16 points of damage, plus death if the victim fails to make his, her, or its saving throw versus poison at -4. In her humanoid form, Loth will use weapons common to Drow. As a giant spider, the demoness can use any of the following powers once per melee round, at will. Comprehend languages, confusion, creature looked at only, darkness, 10-foot radius, dispel magic, once per day, gate in a type 1, type 2, type 3 demon with 45, 35, 20% chance, with 66% chance of success. Summon 9 to 16 large, 20% chance, 7 to 12 huge, 30% chance, 2 to 8 giant, 40% chance, or 1 to 4 phase, 10% chance. Spiders. Teleport with no error. Tongues, true seeing, twice per day use phase door, read magic, and shape change. In her humanoid shape, Loth is a 16th level cleric, 14th level magic user with commensurate abilities. However, in spider form, she is unable to wear armor of any sort, and her psionic powers are lost. Loth is not affected by weapons which are not magical. Silver does her no harm unless magicked to at least +1, and cold, electrical, and gas attack forms cause only 1/2 damage. Acid, magic missiles, if her magic resistance fails her, of course, and poison attacks affect the demoness normally. Loth is especially susceptible to holy water, taking 6 points of damage from a splash, and 6 to 21 points, 3d6 plus 3, from a direct hit. Yeah, you might have 4 characters each throw a flask of holy water at her, and if they all hit, and they all max damage, she'll die right then. Think about that. The visual range of the demoness extends into the infrared and ultraviolet spectrums to a normal distance of 120 feet. Loth has limited telepathic communication ability, as do demons in general. Loth's psionic disciplines are the minor devotions of body equilibrium, clairvoyance, domination, and the major sciences of dimension walking, mind bar, molecular rearrangement, and probability travel. These disciplines, as well as their magical powers, are performed at 16th level of ability. So there is a demi-human deity for you. One demi-human deity. Because she is tied very closely to the World of Greyhawk setting, by dint of having been mentioned many times in the G series of modules. But I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret, in case you guys never get a chance to play them. God's stats do matter, Ricky, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret about Loth. She's not the bad guy you're after. She's a bad guy, but she's not the big bad evil behind the shenanigans in the G series. There is a political struggle going on in the Drow Kingdom. Some houses have decided to worship an elder elemental evil. Think like a Lovecraftian level evil, and just substitute accordingly. This being has got its followers causing discord and destruction by helping the giants raid settlements on the future But all the items that you find that indicate that these are worshippers of Loth that's doing this are plants. They're ruses by the other houses to try and sucker a high-level party in to killing Loth on her home plane and rendering her worshippers in Drow society powerless. So the elder elemental being, who it is never described, but is arguably worse than Loth, can move in and take over. You're doing their dirty work for them. You're being played as suckers in the GDQ series. That is the ugly secret. Loth is not that dangerous. Consider, say, my Monday night group. They have a lot of resources at their disposal. I'm not saying they're tough enough to take down Loth right now. That's not suggesting that. But excuse me. But she is she is a bit of a pushover, and my group could potentially get powerful enough to destroy her. But is that really what should be done? Is that really what should be done? Do you allow a lesser evil, in this case Loth, to continue to exist to maintain the balance? See, I don't think you should play Q1 as straight as it's written, where it's just like this slog through this bizarre, surreal, ultraplanar adventure, extraplanar adventure, and then kill Loth, and then it's game over. I think there should be some there should be some consideration given to the idea of not doing her opponent's dirty work for her. Hello, Mr. Grooves. Good to see you. Anyway, Ricky, to address your question, this is exactly a case where the stats of a god do matter. Now, if you'll note, in the World of Greyhawk set, most of the greater gods don't get stats. Some of them do, but not all of them do. Now, in later editions of D&D, there were stats that were given for different greater gods. And even after Gary was gone in first edition, some greater gods were given stats. I'm not saying that the pantheon of gods in the World of Greyhawk box set, or even in Deities and Demigods, it should be treated as a monster manual. But I want to read something to you here. And this is in the beginning of this. And really, guys, you know, look, I'm just going to say this. You should seek this PDF out. If you don't have an unexpurgated Deities and Demigods, seek this PDF out so you can get it. I won't share it. But no publisher is being harmed. No writer is being denied anything by the circulation of this, because it's not in print. It's not available. And WotC will never make it available. So if you want the statistics and so on for the Elric and Cthulhu mythos, seek this PDF out. All right. Right here at the beginning of the editor's introduction. Well, here it is, Deities and Demigods, the latest addition to the series of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons volumes. But what is it? But exactly, what is it? Let's see. It has a nice cover. Open it up. Inside there are lots of pictures next to sets of stacked statistics. It must be just like the monster manual. There, that was easy. Now we know what it is. We know what to do with it, right? Wrong. The purpose of this book is not to provide adversaries for player characters. The information listed herein is primarily for the dungeon master's use in creating, intensifying, or expanding his or her campaign. No fantasy world is complete without the gods, mighty deities who influence the fates of men and move mortals about like chess pieces in their obscure games of power. Such figures can be perfect embodiments of the DM's control of his game. They are one of the dungeon master's most important tools in his or her shaping of events. The gods serve an important purpose for the players as well. Serving a deity is a significant part of AD&D, and all player characters should have a patron god. Alignment assumes its full importance when tied with the worship of a deity. The possibility of the invocation of divine wrath, should the players make a misstep, makes alignment conduct a much more vital concern. Now, here's something, and I think, Ricky, this kind of goes a little bit towards addressing what you were saying about the statistics of gods being unimportant. The most important thing to remember about this book, and I would expand that to say the World of Greyhawk box set, particularly with regard to its deities also, is that unlike the other AD&D volumes, everything contained within this book is guidelines, not rules. DDG is an aid for the DM, not instructions. Well, isn't that really what all old school D&D is? But let's continue. We would not presume to tell a dungeon master how to set up his or her campaign's religious system. Probably no facet of AD&D varies more from campaign to campaign than this, and that's the way it should be. Many DMs will choose to use pantheons or systems other than the ones included herein, or will alter the information presented. Feel free. And then we get into explanatory notes. But essentially, it helps. I think it does. Ricky, I respectfully disagree with you. I think that having those things, it gives perspectives to characters. Let me tell you, when OD&D was first rolling out there, and Gary tells this story, Many was the player who would come up and talk about having like 500th level characters with a retinue of 100 paladins and 600 hit points, and they'd killed the major demons listed in Eldritch Wizardry and so on and etc. The reason stats are given for these beings is to help a DM and indeed players put things in perspective. It can be fun to run a Monty Hall campaign where you have 50th level characters with 600 hit points and so on and etc. But it is important to keep things in perspective when you think now. Odin in the OD&D Gods, Demigods, and Heroes is supposed to be the most powerful god. And I think he has 200 hit points. And it was meant as a shot across the bow for DMs and for players. Well, at the time it was referees and players who were going a bit over the top. Now consider for a moment. Let's find this here. All right. And this even goes for AD&D. So Azathoth, the center of the universe. That's what Azathoth is in the Cthulhu mythos. If you've never seen them, if you've only ever heard rumors of what the deities and demigods section on Cthulhu is, well, there it is. Azathoth, the center of the universe. Greater God, armor class, that is a -2. This is a very faint printing. That's -2. Move, none. Hit points, 400. And then 20 attacks, 3 to 18, times 20. Size, large, inconceivable. He's the center of the universe. He is basically a hypermassive, like beyond supermassive, a hypermassive black hole in the center of the universe is his being. He's a blind, mindless, amorphous mass the size of a star floating at the center of the universe on the astral plane. It is attended by satellite creatures that provide an eerie music like the sound of idiot flute players. Azathoth is somewhat solid near the center and can be attacked there, but will defend itself with its many pseudopods if so attacked. Any creature coming within 1,000 miles of Azathoth must save versus spells at -6 or go permanently mad. Those who worship Azathoth worship insanity, and Azathoth's clerics are themselves insane. It is unknown how Azathoth grants powers to its clerics, or even if Azathoth is aware of them, which is doubtful. So, this is a balancing mechanism. 400 hit points is not like, well, all I have to do is hit it with, hit it with longsword 100 times, even if it's a non-magical longsword, right? Because the average 4 hit points damage, I'm good. The reason gods are given stats is, again, as a balancing measure. So that you understand that having a character who says, yeah, I can fly up and one punch Azathoth, really isn't the norm in D&D, and you can balance it out. Plus, I think it's just neat. I think it's neat to see how these things are interpreted through the D&D rules. So that's my take on beings have, on why beings would have stats. Was it not these stats that let players kill gods? That comes down to the DM. You know? I mean, there's a school of thought very similar to what you're saying, Ricky, with players who are DMs, and I've seen this in the past, and I've never understood it, but DMs who insist that dragons should be like completely untouchable. Like a dragon should be an unassailable challenge for a party. Like, you know, they're the size of a mountain and no character can ever hope to take them down, and they're godlike and thousands of years old. See, I don't agree with that. I think dragons are treasure-hoarding, flying, gas-farting lizards that are good for a larf for a high-level party to take down, or for an interesting role-playing opportunity if they're good dragons and the players are also good to interact with. So some people view dragons the same way you view gods, and I don't think that should be the case. But there are others who do. So it just comes down to DM preference. You say tomato, I say tomato. I say tomorrow we're going to have an open discussion. I think you could interpret it that way, Grooves. Some of those stats are to be taken as an avatar of that deity and not their actual true self. There are, for a lot of demons, there are multiple forms. Like, you know, they have a form, an avatar that's on the prime material plane. And if you destroy it, it just means they can't reform that avatar back on the prime material plane again for 100 years. But you don't destroy their actual form. But if you go to their plane of the abyss or heaven or wherever and slay them there, then they're destroyed. But I could take that interpretation also, that a given deity with stats is merely a projection, a convenient projection for that being, that it's actually exists much further above. And I even had a player who died and went before her goddess, and I said, yeah, I basically explained it thus. I said, you're standing in judgment. The image of Weejoss before you is not, it's a convenient construct for you to hold in your mind the idea that there's a being I can communicate with. Its actual thoughts and actions and mentalities would quite literally blow your damn mind. They would be so incomprehensible. This is a convenient projection so it doesn't accidentally kill you with its utter alienness. So you can definitely do it that way, Grooves, and I have done it that way in the past. So anyway, tomorrow, open line. We'll talk about questions. We'll talk about gaming-related stuff. I'll talk some more about the coming D&D game. The coming exemplar D&D game. So be here for tomorrow. Tomorrow night, again, I will be on Storytime with Yang and Zhao, and we will talk about campaign and world building. That's definitely a good thing. You can bring one back into existence by mistake. There's a whole Star Trek episode where they go out and they bump into the god Apollo moping around on a planet, and all the other gods went out of existence because people stopped believing in him. But he didn't stop believing in people, and he was the last one left until Kirk and company were like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. You're just some hyper intelligent alien and you're not a god. And they wished him out of existence. And then Kirk immediately starts to mope about it. So anyway, that said, you guys have an absolutely wonderful day. I will be back tomorrow. I will be on Yang and Zhao's Storytime tomorrow night. Have a great one. Thank you all for stopping by. Had a good stream today. We really had a good stream today. So peace, be well. I'll see you around. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.